Hi guys, it's Ben here from T-Rex Space Station. How's everyone doing? This is going to be a video review of a Nintendo Wii game, and the game is called A Boy and His Blob. One of the obvious criticisms that people had when the Nintendo Wii first came out was that the graphics were too limited. The capability of the system graphically was clearly not up there with its Xbox and PlayStation counterparts. And I can see where people are coming from. Yes, that was a drawback of the system. But I actually think that this could be turned into a positive, because it meant that developers had to be quite creative with the way that their games looked for the system, and often led to some very interesting looking games that used graphics in a different way or had a different approach. Now, you only need to look at games like Muramasa the Demon Blade to know that the system has some beautiful looking games. That game adopted a hand-drawn type of art style, and it felt like you were playing a watercolour. A Boy and His Blob has a similar style, and it's a game that I have to recommend for you because, if you don't take anything else away from it, it simply looks really lovely. Again, it's that kind of hand-drawn, painted-looking game where the sprites and the environments just look absolutely gorgeous, almost as though they've just been, painted by somebody the minute before you walked into them. Those kinds of graphics don't age. They don't look crappy in the same way as like a badly rendered early 3D game might look. They just look good. Fine, the Wii isn't amazing graphically, but this is one of the choice games that you should definitely check out for an example of games on the system that can look really beautiful. Now, this game is actually quite a cute game, and I don't really mind my cute games. Aren't those why we have Nintendos in the first place, for that cute side of the spectrum? In this game you play as a young kid who discovers a blob that falls down from some other planet, and you have to help the blob get back to his homeworld. The kid is really cute. I'm not sure what age he is. He's like 7 or something, and it's kind of nice to play as such a well-characterized, hand-drawn young man. He kind of reminds me of that Tintin style of cartoon in some ways, where the eyes are like just a round circle with no pupil in them. And it's this cute interaction between him and the blob that really makes the game. You start off the game, and kind of most of the interface of the game is in your sort of treehouse area, and this is such a nice way of laying out the kind of level select, and you kind of choose where to go from the map on your wall, and your blob will follow you. The action of the game, it's kind of like a puzzle platformer, I suppose. You have to traverse levels of increasing difficulty and solve logistical hurdles using the skills that you're given by your blob. So your blob follows you around the worlds, and he can turn into different things depending on what seeds you throw down. So when you're facing a challenge, you chuck out a seed of a corresponding type, and your blob will transform into one of a variety of different things. Those are things like an umbrella, or an anvil, or a trampoline. And there's quite an interesting variety in the different things you can turn him into. And you get to areas and you need to think, what is the best way past this? How am I going to get through this? The challenges aren't too bad. The difficulty level isn't sort of crippling, but it certainly builds. The earlier stages, not so tough. As you get further through, obviously it gets a bit harder. But I found that the difficulty level kind of eased really nicely. One of the cool things is that, yes, you could just fly to the end of the level, but as always, there are things that you ought to try to explore and things to unlock. So you want to get the treasure chests. There's usually 3 treasure chests per level, and these can be a little bit tricky to get to. Your blob, you basically need to be able to get your blob to some pretty difficult places, and he'll swallow them. And if you manage to get each level's full 3, you unlock challenge levels, and these are really fun. The challenge levels tend to be around one single theme. So there's one of them that involves jumping across repeated precarious ledges. There's a really cool one that involves using the parachute mechanic, and you have to essentially decline vertically while dodging lots of hazards. But they're really nice, those types of levels, and they all have their own little characterization and theme. And so it gives you a sense of reward. You want to push on, you want to get those extra chests. The boy's interaction with the blob is quite sweet as well. If the blob kind of disappears off screen, you kind of shout to him, "Hey, over here!" And the blob will catch up to you. Sometimes he'll have to turn into a balloon to sort of get to you. There are enemies in this game. There is, I suppose, you could possibly call it combat, I guess. There are little kind of well-characterized Studio Ghibli style looking black blobs that are in various different forms, and sometimes there are puzzles around them. You can kill them in different ways by squashing them with an anvil, etc. And there are boss battles as well, which tend to be a bit more dangerous and require a bit more practice. You can die in this game. Usually when you die, you restart sort of somewhere near where you were, and it's not especially frustrating, which is the really nice thing about it. It's a game to kind of pick up and play when you've got a little bit of time. More than it's not just any one aspect of this game, it just builds. It's the gameplay, it's the cuteness of it, it's the music, and it's the beautiful hand-drawn looking environments that just tie together to make a really nice Wii game. You should be able to find this one on eBay for relatively cheaply. I don't think I paid a massive amount of money for it. Actually, it was a Christmas present for me last year from my mum, but I don't remember it being especially expensive. So, if you're like me and you're looking to add some quirky, well-characterized and pretty unique games to your Wii collection, A Boy and His Blob is one that you should look out for. Alright guys, take care and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye!